Hey, what's up guys? So Emanon here, and welcome to another episode of Inside DB Rated. So this is going to be a matchup between a BuzzFad on Paleozoic Frogs versus Emptiness002 on Gisters. And if you are interested in submitting your own replays, potentially for this series, feel free to check out my Discord server. You can find the link to that in the description box below, where I do have a channel specifically dedicated for that. But let's not waste any more time and get started with this matchup here without any further ado. So it looks like we're going to see the Paleo Frog player taking the RPS win, and they're going to be opting to start this match. So the opening hand for Paleozoic going first is going to be Swap Frog, Ronin Totem, the Transmigration Prophecy, Canadia, and Backjack. So it's cool to see Transmigration Prophecy being tacked back into decks, because we did see it kind of being splashed into some trap decks a couple formats ago to combat Drytron as well as Virtual World and Eldritch, things like that. So it's cool to see it make a bit of a comeback here in this, at least in this list. But yeah, I definitely think it's a pretty solid trap this format. Of course, hitting the graveyard is pretty good. We see cards like Bell and Crow becoming a lot more popular this format again. So this makes a lot of sense in that context. And Backjack is also an interesting inclusion just to get access to more traps. So interesting to see if there's a reliable way to proc it, or if it's just there to be pitched off like Dynamiscus and stuff. But going first, this hand's definitely very solid. And then the opening hand for Nisters going second is going to be Imperm, Ash, Doyon, Idol Reborn, and Harpy's Feather Duster. So the Feather Duster main deck is going to be pretty nice for this matchup here. A couple of hand traps as well in the deck, but not really any reliable starters. There's no Picari or a Chi-Chi or Sign Up Mining even. So yeah, this hand's a little bit awkward for sure. But it's going to go ahead and start things off with a Swap Frog, going to pitch Ronin Totem to special summon itself, and then Swap Frog effect is going to go ahead and send Dupe Frog, and then Ronin Totem is going to banish Dupe Frog from the graveyard to summon itself. And then those two are going to be overlaid into a copy of Toad. I wonder if they play any way to actually just normal summon this and maybe go Link Rebo if they have it. Oh, they are. All right, so cool. They're going to go normal summon the Backjack and they go into Link Rebo. And then Backjack effect is going to go and reveal the top three and then put them back. Or not reveal, but going to be able to look at them. And then going to set two and pass. For turn, we're going to see a top deck Solemn Strike. So we see more of the non-engine lineup in the main deck here. Standby phase, Toad's going to detach, but that's going to be met by Imperm. But they're going to go and chain the Toad in response, and then chain the Backjack before the Toad shuffles the deck, by summoning from the deck, of course. So they're going to set the Imperm and reveal Trap Trick off the top. And then the Toad resolves for a copy of Swap Frog. And then Swap and Toad both trigger here. So going to go and add back Swap Frog off Toad, and then Swap on field is going to send the Dupe Frog. And then down comes Harpy's Feather Duster. So there goes all the disruption for this turn. Yeah, that's a pretty rough one for sure. They're going to chain Trap Trick to get Paleo in the grave, maybe. No, they're actually going to go for a Breakthrough Skill. All right, this card's cool. If you guys have been watching my Rise of the Budget Duelist series, I've been actually liking this card quite a lot. Even just beyond being a budget trap, it's actually nice to be able to, negate stuff on your own turn, like Herald of Ultimateness, because that actually can't negate this card, and like Winda as well. So, cool card for sure. So, gonna go ahead and normal summon Doyon next, and then go for a copy of Dark Infant, and then that effect is gonna grab a copy of the Field Spell, and then they're gonna activate Idol Reborn. That's gonna bring back the Doyon. And then where do you go from here? You're gonna go for a Splash Mage, and then Doyon can add back the Idol Reborn. And then from here, Splash Mage effects can bring back the Doyon, and then they're gonna go into Transcode, and I assume they're gonna use the effect and then ladder up into Access Code here. Just skipping a couple of steps. They're gonna bash the graveyard to clear the field and then attack for 53. And then they're gonna main phase 2, set Strike and Idol Reborn, and then pass. So any name plus the Idol Reborn actually got them to Access Code, which is not bad. Which is pretty good. And Doyon adding this back is also nice. So even though they didn't have like any good names to start, I mean, this is like not terrible because they drew a lot of non-engine cards to make up for it. The top deck here is going to be Rise to Full Height, and we've seen this a fair bit in Paleo recently. But this allows you to double one of your favorite monster's defense until the end of the turn, and then it becomes 0 at the end. And then you can banish it from your graveyard to target one of your monsters, and the opponent's monsters have to attack that monster. Otherwise, they just can't attack at all. So you can use both the effects in the same turn, and then it kind of like creates locks with Dupe Frog. Also, like if you use it on one of your frogs, you can protect your Paleos from just being run over. And then like if your stuff gets cleared, eventually this can't attack at all, because like if that monster's on the board, it still applies to where your opponent's monsters can't attack. So this card is a pretty interesting choice that we've seen a fair bit in this deck specifically. But yeah, we're going to see a normal summon of Swap Frog, and then that effect is going to be met with Solemn Strike. So all they have left is one Ronin Totem activation. They're going to go ahead and use it right here. That's going to go ahead and banish the swap to summon itself. And then Breakthrough Skill is going to go and negate the access code. And then they're going to go ahead and set the Rise to Full Height and then pass. End phase, they're going to activate the Idol Reborn. That's going to summon back the Doyam. And then going to pass. They're going to, in draw phase, use the Rise to Full Height, targeting their copy of Ronin Totem, and then proc the copy of Canadian Graveyard. And then they're also going to use the Graveyard effect on the Ronin Totem. Yeah, so this guarantees that your Canadian is surviving. And also because this access code is now back down to 23 from the Breakthrough skill, it can't actually beat over the 4K defense Ronin Totem as well, which is pretty interesting. So they're probably going to be living this turn. They're going to go ahead and link off the Doyan for another copy of the Dark Infant. That should be in this zone right here. Doyan's going to add back the Idol Reborn, and then the Island is going to be added off the Dark Infant. And then going to go ahead and link summon for a copy of Cyber's Wicked. And then they're going to reborn back the Doyan. And then that triggers the Wicked, which can banish from graveyard the copy of the Dark Infant to search for a Cyber's Tuner. So it's going to be Bururu. And this should turn back everything online, because this can send a Chi-Chi or Picari, and then Doyan can grab back the Idol Reborn. So that is pretty solid. Going to go for a Splash Mage, and then they're going to activate the Island, and then Island effect summon out the Bururu. And then Bururu effect is going to go ahead and dump the copy of Picari. And then they're going to go ahead and Splash Mage, target the Picari to bring it back. So yeah, they can also Bururu the Picari back as well when they go for a Synchro. Yeah, since it is level 4. So they're going to go for the Wind Pegasus. And then they're going to go Bururu to bring back Picari. And then Picari effect activates. So I can go and add maybe I Meet You, which can reveal the Fire Phoenix to go for a Chi-Chi if they want. Yeah, so they're going to go for the I Meet You. I'm still trying to like really learn and understand the deck, because like I know what the cards do, but I just need to learn like the interactions more. So like that's why I kind of want to cast this deck more. But I Meet You is going to be activated. That's going to reveal Fire Phoenix, and that's going to go and add the Chi-Chi. And then they're going to go and link summon into a copy of the Dark Templar. And then they're going to go and summon out a Chi-Chi off the field spell. And then the effect on field is going to activate for a copy of Doshin. This one is the other one besides, what is it, Hiari. This one specials it from your hand as well. And then you can target a Cyber Slink monster in your graveyard, return to the extra deck, and then add a fusion spell. I don't know if they actually play that. I don't think so, but maybe they do. You never know. They're going to link for a copy of Dark Infant, and then use Dark Templar's effect as well as the Infant to attribute modulate itself. So going to go ahead and move it, call Divine, and then the Dark Templar resolves, summoning back 3. And then they're going to Doshin, summon itself. And then they're going to go for a Link 6. They're actually going to use all 6 of them to go into the Arrival Cybers. So this is a 6 mat. They're going to use the effect to pop the Ronin Totem and then summon a token to their field. And then they're going to pass, and the I Meet You does burn for 23. And that'll be that. The top deck is going to be Swap Frog. That is definitely pretty good. They already had access to Toad, but this is going to help accelerate things further. Maybe they'd Ash that, though. You might want to, just to prevent double Ronin. Going to go ahead and proceed to main phase. They will normal summon the Swap Frog and then use the effect. That is actually going to resolve, so going to go for double Ronin here. And then going to be thinking. We're going to see an overlay into Obabinia, and then Obabinia effect is going to go in search. That's going to grab a copy of the Leoncolia. This card's pretty cool. Has good synergies with the frogs, as well as Backjack. It doesn't trigger the first effect, because sending is not the same as returning. So this effect actually doesn't trigger, but you can still use the Grave effect, which is pretty good. Or I guess the Banish from Grave effect, because they technically are both Grave effects. You can put back Breakthrough skill here, and Rise to Full Height, and the frogs to fuel Ronin Totem. So this card's pretty good. Leoncolia is going to go ahead and target Swap Frog, and then they're going to chain Canadia to it. And then they're going to go ahead and banish Swap Frog to bring back Ronin Totem. And then they're going to link summon into a copy of Nightmare Phoenix. So probably just to get more bodies into the graveyard, namely being Ronin Totem. They're going to use it twice, and then they're going to go for a copy of Borosaur Dragon. Yeah, so this is an out, and they did not put Dan Mari into the graveyard. So that is pretty solid. Yeah, that's definitely pretty good for the Paleo player, that is. And they don't have like Idle Reborn set to be able to like bring back Bururu and dump it, which is a play that I've seen. It's happened against me actually. I learned about that playing against the deck. But yeah, Venatoden gonna go ahead and be activated by banishing Swap Frog, and then gonna overlay for a copy of Toad, and then end of main phase 1. They're just gonna go ahead and scoop. Let's see. So was it worth scooping there? So the rival Cybers would have been outed. If you use the Wind Pegasus Engrave, then they have to negate it, and then the Toad sends itself for cost, so they can't sword switch, and so they can't attack twice, and the token would survive. I don't think it was actually worth scooping there, funnily enough. I think they could have actually played that out with the Wind Pegasus in the graveyard. Maybe they forgot about it. But we're going to now move into game number 2, where it looks like the initiative player is going to choose to go first. And if you are enjoying this video, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you're new here and want to see more videos similar to this. Liking the videos really does help out, so if you want to help support the channel for free, that's a great way to do so. But we're going to go ahead and see the initiative player go first, and their opening hand this time around is going to be Picari, Call by the Grave, Ash, Solemn Judgment, and Triple Tactics Talent. So one of the best starters, plus a lot of defensive cards, which is pretty good. It's not a Chi-Chi, but this is still not bad. And the opening hand for Paleo going second is going to be Lava Golem, Backjack, Needlebug Nest, Dupe Frog, and Rise to Full Height. These are some interesting cards for sure. Needlebug Nest is there. I guess maybe they play more or multiple copies of Backjack, because they did open it 2 games in a row. Helps get Frogs engraved, Paleos engraved. This is pretty interesting for sure. We haven't seen this card in forever. But yeah, Lava Golem will depend on if they end on like Lingeribo alongside their rival Cybers or like anything else. So we're going to see a normal summon to Picari. That effect is going to grab a copy of I Meet You. Yeah, so this is going to be pretty good because it'll be full combo in the face of no hand traps. So they're going to go and link off for Dark Infant, and then that'll grab the Island. And then they're going to activate I Meet You. That's going to reveal the Fire Phoenix to add a Chi-Chi. And from here, this is full combo. So they're going to go for the Island, and then that's going to summon out the Ignister, or the Chi-Chi at Ignister, and then going to go for Doyam. And then going to go for the copy of Cybers Wicked, and then they're going to trigger the Island again. That's going to go and summon out Doyan, which activates the effect, as well as the Cybers Wicked's effect. So they're going to banish the Dark Infant to add Bururu, and then they're going to go and add Picari back off Doyan. And then from here, they're going to go and link summon into a copy of Splash Mage. That's going to allow Doyan to add back the I Meet You. And then they're going to go for the Ignister Island. That's going to summon up Bururu. And then Bururu effect is going to go ahead and dump Damari. And then they're going to go and Splash Mage back the Doyan. They're then going to Synchro Summon a copy of Wind Pegasus, and then Bururu triggers to summon back the Doyan. And then they're going to go ahead and link everything off into a copy of the Dark Templar. And then the Island's going to summon out the Picari, since it was normal summon and not special yet. And then Dark Templar triggers off of that. So they're going to go and bring back the Chi-Chi, as well as the Bururu. And then they're going to go ahead and link everything off for Arrival Cybers. And then they're going to go ahead and set the Judgment and the Call by the Grave. And then they're going to pass taking 23 from I Meet You. So pretty solid for sure. Solemn Judgment, Call by Ash is pretty good backup for your boss monster right here. We're going to see a draw for turn. It's going to be Leancolia. So that's pretty good. Or Leancolia, I should pronounce that. Enunciate that better. But yeah, going on to the main phase, they're just going to normal summon Dupe Frog and then set 3 and pass. So this has to target a face-up monster. And I guess they just want to get into Grave, which is pretty interesting, because this would just die by battle anyway. Unless if they like are planning on getting Leancolia onto the field eventually, which I guess would make sense. So yeah, maybe they wanted to do that. But they're actually going to shotgun the Needlebug Nest right away. And then that's going to be met with Ash. Shame. The only Needlebug's Nest I've seen activated in a long time. I can't remember the last time I've seen this card. It gets Ash anyway. They're going to go ahead and, still in Samurai phase, use the Rise to Full Height on the Dupe Frog. And then that resolves. So the Graveyard effect will be activated as well, targeting Dupe. And then they're going to activate Leancolia. And then looks like Damari is going to negate it. The Rival Cyberside Minister is going to activate. That's going to pop the Dupe Frog to summon a token. And then Dupe Frog effect is going to search a copy of Swap Frog. That will actually turn on the Triple Tactics talent. which they will use to look at the hand. So they're going to put back the Lava Golem. Yeah, because the token would have played into the Lava Golem right there. So good to get that out of the way. We're going to see an activation of I Meet You next. That is going to go ahead and reveal Light Dragon to search for Bakari. And then from here, they're going to normal summon the Bakari. That's going to go and search for a copy of Eye Contact. And they're going to go and... Oh, that's actually just going to be the end of the game. All right. So, yeah, fair enough. I guess Paleo was just too far behind there. Even with, like, swap in hand, there was, like, Judgment set anyways on the side of Ignisters. So, that was definitely their game to win. But we're now going to move into game number 3, where it looks like the Paleo Frog player is going to choose to go first. And their opening hand going first is going to be the Phantom Knights of Lost Vambrance. I have to read this card. Rise to Full Height, Leon Coilia, Dupe, and Rodent Totem. I have to be thinking they're playing multiple copies of both of these, just because we're seeing them a lot in the opening hand. We're also not seeing a lot of like defensive reactive traps. We're not seeing things like Solemn Strike, or like we haven't even seen Dino-Miscus. But yeah, this is definitely pretty interesting. So let's see what this card does. Target a face-up monster in the field. If that target is still face-up in the field, the Phantom Knights monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. Also, that target loses 600 attack and its level becomes 2. These effects last until the end of this turn. Then special summon this card in defense position as a normal monster. I see. Okay, so this summons itself as a monster that can't be destroyed by battle, and it's a level 2. And I guess it also can mess with some plays for Xyz and Synchros. If you're against a matchup that is like reliant on them, that's pretty interesting for sure. Like, these are some cards that I have not really seen played too commonly, so this is a very interesting Paleo build for sure. So we're going to go ahead and see them set 4 and pass. It feels more focused on them just not dying instead of like actually trying to stop their opponent from doing anything, which is definitely one way to play the deck. I don't know if I agree with it personally, just because like you can live for a while, but maybe in this matchup it's not that bad because this deck doesn't tend to put up a ton of negations, which is fair. But at the same time, like I don't know, it feels very interesting. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments if you think that this is the right way to build Paleo, like just having a bunch of traps that literally prevent you from dying, versus having things that actually interrupt your opponent, because like this is not any way to interrupt your opponent at all. Like there's 0 disruptions for all these cards. But we're gonna carry on here and see the Ignister player summon a copy of Bakari. That's gonna search for a copy of Eye Contact. And then looks like Rise to Full Height is gonna be used on the Bakari. And then they're gonna go ahead and Rise to Full Height. So the second effect doesn't have to target a face-up monster. So that's why they had to wait. But yeah, they're gonna Leon Coilia, put back the Rise to Full Height. And I don't know if these... Okay, so the activation on field was once per turn, but not the graveyard effect, which is important to note. But we're going to see a Link Summon of Dark Infant. That's going to search a copy of the field spell. And then they're going to activate the island. That's going to summon out Baruru from hand. And then Baruru effect is going to go and dump a Chi-Chi. They're then going to go ahead and summon out Splash Mage. And then they're going to use the island to summon out Doyan. And then Doyan effect to add back the Chi-Chi. And then Splash Mage effect is going to be used to bring back the Baruru. Actually, here's a point where you can use the Lost Vambrance, because this is the play that they go into the 7-star Synchro. So this might actually be a good time to use it. Yeah, they are actually going to activate the Lost Vambrance right here. So that's going to go and reduce the level of Baruru down to 2, and then Chain Link Colia as well. So there's no way that they die this turn just because of the Rise to Full Height Grave effect. I think this card is pretty interesting, but I think playing all of these is like quite a bit. Like this is there to, I guess, recycle everything, but it feels like they're playing a lot of this. But they're going to go for Eye Contact. That's going to go ahead and draw 3 by putting back the other island. And they actually didn't really draw that many different cards than what they really had access to. But they're going to go ahead and Link Summon for a copy of Update Jammer, and then they're going to trigger the Doyan to add back the Eye Contact. And then they're going to go for a copy of the Access Code Talker. So I guess trying to clear whatever board they can. They're going to clear the Lost Vambrance, and they're going to clear the Dupe Frog, and then Dupe Frog effect is going to add Swap Frog, and then they can triple Tactics Talent to look at the hand, and then get rid of the Swap Frog there. So, yeah, I think what they're trying to set up is just Eye Contact every turn, which, if your opponent is giving you infinite time, then you have a lot of time to just recycle and loop these cards with Doyan. So yeah, that's pretty good in this situation. Granted, there's no interruptions on this side actually after all of that. but they're going to go ahead and try to attack, but they forgot about the rise to full height there. So it's going to pass here. And then we're going to see a top deck to Paleozoic Canadia for turn. And then they're going to normal summon the Rodent Totem. And then they're going to overlay for a copy of Obabinia. They're going to use the effect probably, I would imagine. Yeah, they're going to use the effect here. They're spending a lot of time thinking. They're going to add another copy of Leon Colia. Yeah, so they are on multiples. I figured they had to be because we saw this card a lot. Just hard drawn. But Rodent Totem going to be used to banish the Dupe Frog. That's going to summon itself back from the grave. And they're just going to pass. So they're going to go for Rise to Full Height to buy themselves another turn. And they'll have Leon Colia. So this is like a cool loop, I guess. But again, this isn't really amounting to that much because your opponent has free reign to still do whatever they want. So I don't know. Like, you're buying a lot of time, but it's still not really going to ultimately matter, I don't think. But who knows? Maybe he'll end up winning this game and just prove me wrong. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and see the Rise to Full Height being activated. And then in main phase, the Field Spell is going to be used. That's going to summon out the Achichi from hand. And then the effect is going to be used. You're going to chain Canadia, since you can activate Peleus from hand with Obabinia on field. And then Cosmic Cyclone going to be used to banish the Canadia. Pretty solid. And then Doshin is going to be added off with the Achichi. Next up, they're going to normal summon the Picari, and then activate Picari's effect for Idol Reborn. So now they have like everything in rotation, besides, I guess, I Meet You, but they don't really need that right now. Gonna go for Dark Infant. Again, this should be under the access code. Oh, there we go. Alright, so they realized it this time. Gonna go for the Ignister Island, which turns on the Contact. So it's gonna draw 3 more. And there's the I Meet You, 2 of them even. And just more cards that actually aren't interacting, which is really unfortunate. I wonder if, like, we see Cosmic in here. They probably kept in, like, Ash and stuff. I would imagine, at least. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting that they haven't really drawn that much defense. They've just drawn more engine cards. I think that's just unlucky, to be honest. They're going to go Battle Phase and attack with Dark Infant. So they want to use Damaria here. Yeah, they're going to special summon it. And then they're going to go for Access Code to attack. And then the main phase 2, they're going to link everything off for a copy of Dark Templar. And then they're going to trigger the Doshin effect. And then that allows the Dark Templar to activate, bringing back the Picari as well as the Baruru. And they're going to turn everything into the Arrival Cybers. And then they're going to set Reborn as well. So they didn't opt to go for... what's it called? The Wind Pegasus there. They could have, right? Unless if I'm missing something, which is possible, because I'm still, like, fairly new to the deck. I'm just making sure, like, you're not locked into just, like, Link Summoning or anything. I don't think you are. But yeah, couldn't you just use, like, Baruru plus Picari to go into the Wind Pegasus, and then Baruru to bring this back, and then go into Arrival Cybers there? I think so. That might have been better, but not really sure. Maybe they want to hold the Wind Pegasus just to pop back row with it on field, which is also fair. But yeah, they're going to go ahead and set everything and then pass. We're going to see a top deck to Waking the Dragon. Jeez. So this is a lot of cards that are super just, I guess, defensive, right? Like, defensive in the sense that they don't actually, like, prevent your opponent from playing, but, like, they just help you live. Going to go for Obabinia here. That's going to detach to Adley and Colia. They're on 3 copies of this card, actually. Wow. So they're really focused on this Rise to Full Height interaction. But they will eventually run out of Leon Colias. So, I mean, unless if they can, like, draw more copies of this, or, like, get Backjack or Trap Check or something. I don't know. This seems like it's just buying time. But, again, they're not applying that much pressure here. I think it goes target Dupe Frog off the Leon Colia, but they're going to chain Damari to negate that. They know about the other one, though. I would have actually let the Dupe Frog be returned to the graveyard and then negate the one that would return the Rise to Full Height. Because them returning back Ronin doesn't actually do that much. I guess they wanted to also prevent the Leon Colia from hitting the board, which is fair. The other one that was already engraved, because it's such chain block. So they're going to use it here. Yeah, I guess if you do it the other way, then they could technically summon Toad first, which is fair enough. Going to go ahead and link summon into a copy of the Paleozoic Link monster, the Cambro Raster. This one came out, I think, in Blazing Vortex. I'm not entirely sure if that's the right set, but this one, as per usual, is unaffected by monster effects. and you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You could target a set card in the spell and trap zone, not just yours. Send it to the graveyard, and if you do set a Paleo trap directly from your deck, it can be activated this turn, and then if a set card or cards you control be destroyed by a card effect, you can banish this card from grave instead, or field. So yeah, this card is pretty good here, just being able to like send something and then get more resources, which can be activated this turn. So definitely solid. They're going to use a Camera Raster effect that's going to go and target the Reborn, which will be chained, I imagine. Yeah, that's going to bring back the Doyon, and then going to set Morella. Doyon effect is going to be activated. That's going to go and search for, or sorry, not search, but add back Picari. Then Morella is going to be activated. That was set off the Camera Raster. That's going to trigger the Leon Coelia and Grave, and then send to the Grave a copy of another Rise to Full Height. All right, so they have, yeah, I forgot, this card you can just send it. So they have a lot of ways to get to this card, I guess. But yeah, it's just like surviving with this card forever. But how do you exactly win the game? That's like the question I keep asking here. Gonna go and set Waking and pass. Solemn Judgment gonna be the draw for turn. Not horrible. They're gonna go and use the Rise to Full Height and Grave. That's gonna target the Cambro Raster. And then they're gonna use the other one as well to target the Leon Coelia. So it does create kind of like a dupe frog effect. Proceed to main phase. They're gonna flip up the copy of a Chi-Chi. And then going to go and link summon into a copy of Splash Mage, and then that's going to allow Doyan to add back Eye Contact. Is this the second copy of Splash Mage? It is. All right, so we see 2 copies in here, which is notable. Splash Mage is going to be used to bring back the Bururu, and then going to go and link summon for a copy of Transcode, and then Transcode effect, going to target Dark Templar to bring it back, and then they're going to normal summon the copy of a Chi-Chi, and then they're going to use the effects to search a copy of Doyon. They have to be running low under Adagnisters, right? There is one more Picari in the deck, and most builds, I think, play 3 Doyon, as well as the 3 of the Fire one. So they actually have some more of them. But yeah, like they just drew so many off of Contact that I'm kind of surprised they have even more engine cards left. But carrying on here, they're going to go for the Dark Infant, which is going to, of course, search for the Island. I think that's the last Infant in the deck, if I'm not mistaken. It is. Yeah, so this will be the last time they can actually resolve the Eye Contact right here. So going to draw, there we go, Ash Cosmic is pretty good. Lightning Storm a bit dead, but yeah, those are the cards you want to see off those draws. It took 3 times, it took 9 draws off of this card for it to actually see cards that would like impact the game state. But they're going to Cosmic Cyclone on the Waking the Dragon, which would be devastating if not for this Ash. So yeah, that is going to be a quick stop to that. So it's good that they actually drew both these. They probably didn't need to actually use Waking the Dragon because, or sorry, Cosmic the Waking the Dragon, just because like looking at the Paleo trap lineup so far, it's like Leon Coelia's, Rise to Full Heights, I guess Canadia, but I mean you're already like well established into your engine, Morella, and like Lost Remembrance, right? Like not really any of those besides Canadia actually interrupts you, so maybe you don't even like need to use this, to be honest. You like save it maybe for like the end phase of your opponent's turn. Or to like interrupt the Paleo chain. But gonna go ahead and use the Rival Cybers to attack into Canberra Raster. I have to have Read Rise Full Height. Your opponent's monsters cannot attack. Okay, so it affects the monsters and not the player. Just have to make sure. So this is still unaffected by Rise to Full Height. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, gonna go ahead. This can't attack though, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Because there's a loop there, like where both of these have to be the attack targets, but this is unaffected by either of this, which is pretty interesting. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. At least that's how it's worked in this accepted game state right here. But yeah, somebody can let me know if I'm wrong about that. But I do believe that because it says your opponent's monsters can attack, it affects the monsters. But yeah, gonna go ahead and set and then pass. We're gonna say a top deck to Ronin Totem for turn. Yeah, they're pretty much just out of gas right here, right? Because like they can go into another Opabini, I guess, but they're out of Leon Coelia's. Maybe I guess they could send Morella or search Morella, and then like they could send the last copy of it. But again, like I don't know, against a deck that hasn't really been drawing into any interruptions like these past couple of turns, and like they haven't put up any interruptions at all. Like this doesn't seem that good. Like this seems like the ideal case scenario, right? Like the ideal matchup for this deck. But even still, it doesn't look that convincing. I'll talk more about it afterward, I guess. But gonna go for Obabinia here. And that's going to be Judgmented. We knew about this. And that is going to be the end of the match. So Ignister is going to be taking this one 2-1. So yeah, very interesting for sure. It's not often where like just blatantly say that I'm not like a big fan of things. Just like whenever I commentate. But Yeah, I'm not like a super big fan of this paleo build personally. Like, it's definitely cool for sure to see like the rises to full heights. I do think this card's pretty decent, but like building entirely around it, I'm not sure is the best way to go. Just because like they play a lot of cards that require your engine to already be online. Like Leon Coelius is completely dead turn one, for example. And then I don't know. It seems like again this is like the ideal matchup because your opponent isn't really putting up any negates in their monsters. They didn't seem to draw anything off their eye contact twice when they resolved it. And still, like they had infinite time to really set up, but they weren't able to really accomplish anything. So I don't really know. It's an interesting build for sure, but I'm not entirely convinced that it's the best way to go. But that's going to be it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like as well as any thoughts or feedback in the comments. Subscribe for more fun and competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content. If you want to, you can follow me on all social media platforms or support me with the links in the description as usual. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next video. See you guys.